Hello everybody. If you want to read all the stories in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. Short story 410, The Chaos of Rufus. Intermediate. Maggie had been a dog walker for 10 years. She loved her job. Every morning she woke up early, put on her walking boots and grabbed her bag of treats. She knew every dog in her pack by name, their habits and even their little quirks. There was Bella, the gentle Labrador who loved to sniff flowers, Max, the cheeky terrier who chased squirrels, and Luna, the quiet spaniel who stayed close to Maggie's legs. The pack worked well together. They walked through the park in a neat line, tails wagging, and Maggie felt proud of her little team. One sunny Monday, a new client called. His name was Tom, and he sounded desperate. "I've just moved here," he said. "My dog, Rufus, needs a walker. He's a big lad, a bit wild, but I'm sure you can handle him." Maggie smiled. She'd dealt with wild dogs before. How bad could it be? She agreed to take Rufus on a trial walk the next day. Tuesday morning arrived, and Maggie met Rufus at Tom's house. He was a huge, shaggy hound with floppy ears and a tongue that hung out like a wet towel. His eyes sparkled with mischief. "Hello, Rufus," Maggie said, bending down to pat him. Rufus leapt up, nearly knocking her over, and barked so loudly that Bella flinched. Maggie clipped on his lead and thought this might be a challenge. The walk started well enough. The usual pack, Bella, Max and Luna, trotted along as always. Rufus, though, had other ideas. He pulled on the lead so hard that Maggie's arm ached. "Easy, boys," she said, but Rufus didn't listen. He spotted a pigeon and lunged, dragging Maggie forward. The other dogs got tangled in the leads, and suddenly the neat line was a mess of barking and twisting ropes. Maggie untangled them, her face red. "Right," she said firmly. "Let's try again." But Rufus wasn't done. At the park, he saw a muddy puddle and jumped in with a splash. Mud flew everywhere, onto Maggie's jeans, Bella's golden fur, and even Max's little nose. Max yapped in anger, and Luna hid behind Maggie's legs. The pack was falling apart. Things got worse. Rufus decided he didn't like Max. Every time the terrier barked, Rufus growled, his deep voice rumbling like thunder. Max, never one to back down, barked louder. Soon they were snapping at each other, and Maggie had to pull them apart. "Stop it, both of you!" she shouted. Bella whimpered, and Luna looked ready to run home. Maggie felt sweat on her forehead. This was a nightmare. By the time they reached the river path, Maggie was exhausted. She sat on a bench to catch her breath, holding Rufus's lead tightly. The other dogs sat quietly, but Rufus wouldn't settle. He spotted a duck on the water and bolted. The lead slipped from Maggie's hand, and Rufus charged into the river. Water splashed everywhere as he barked and splashed after the duck. Maggie ran to the edge, shouting, "Rufus, come back!" But Rufus ignored her, swimming in circles, his shaggy fur soaked. It took 10 minutes to get him out. Maggie waded into the shallow water, her boots squelching, and grabbed his collar. She pulled him back to shore, dripping wet and furious. The other dogs stared, their eyes wide. Maggie sat down, muddy and tired, and looked at Rufus. He wagged his tail as if nothing had happened. "You're a monster," she muttered. That evening, Maggie called Tom. "Rufus is too much," she said. "He disrupts the whole pack. I can't manage him." Tom sighed. "I'm sorry. He's always been like that. I'll find someone else." Maggie felt a pang of guilt, but she knew it was the right choice. She loved her job, and her pack needed peace. The next day, Maggie walked Bella, Max and Luna again. The air was calm. The leads stayed untangled, and the dogs wagged their tails. Maggie smiled. Her little team was back to normal. She thought about Rufus and hoped he'd find a walker who could handle his wild spirit. For now, though, she was happy to have her quiet mornings back. As she strolled through the park, Max chased a leaf. Bella sniffed a rose, and Luna stayed close. Maggie breathed deeply. This was why she loved her job. No chaos, no muddy rivers, just her and her pack walking together under the sun. Vocabulary notes. Quirks, meaning unusual habits or behaviors that make someone or something unique. Example, she knew every dog in her pack by name, their habits and even their little quirks. Explanation. Maggie knows the special, odd things each dog does, like how Bella loves flowers or Max chases squirrels. Think of quirks as fun, small details that make something different. Similar words. Habits, regular behaviors. Max had a habit of barking at birds. Peculiarities, strange traits. Luna's peculiarities included hiding behind Maggie. Traits, characteristics. Rufus had wild traits that caused trouble. Disrupts, meaning to interrupt or upset the normal order of something, often causing chaos. Example, he disrupts the whole pack. Explanation. Rufus's actions, like pulling the lead and jumping in mud, ruin the calm walk for the other dogs. Imagine disrupts as breaking something peaceful, like a noisy phone in a quiet room. Similar words. Disturbs, to bother or unsettle. The loud barking disturbed Bella. Upsets, to make something go wrong. Rufus upset the neat line of dogs. Ruins, to destroy or spoil. The muddy splash ruined Maggie's jeans. Lunged, meaning to move forward suddenly and quickly, often with force. Example, he spotted a pigeon and lunged, dragging Maggie forward. Explanation, Rufus jumped toward the pigeon fast, pulling Maggie with him because of his strength. Picture lunge as a big, sudden jump like a cat pouncing on a toy. Similar words. Leapt, jump quickly. Rufus leapt into the puddle. Dashed, ran suddenly. Max dashed after the squirrel. Sprang, moved fast upward or forward. The dog sprang at the duck. Tangled, meaning twisted together in a messy or confused way. Example, the other dogs got tangled in the leads and suddenly the neat line was a mess. Explanation, the dogs' leashes got twisted around each other because of Rufus's pulling. Think of tangled as what happens to hair or wires when they're all mixed up. Similar words, entangled, caught up in a mess. The leads were entangled after Rufus ran. Twisted, turned around. The ropes twisted into knots. Jumbled, mixed up. The pack became jumbled and noisy. Exhausted, meaning very tired with no energy left after hard work or effort. Example, by the time they reached the river path, Maggie was exhausted. Explanation, Maggie felt worn out from chasing Rufus and managing the chaotic walk. Exhausted is how you feel after a long day or too much exercise. Similar words, worn out, very tired. Maggie felt worn out after the walk. Drained, empty of energy. Pulling Rufus left her drained. Fatigued, physically tired. She was fatigued from shouting and running. Mischief, meaning playful behavior that causes trouble or annoyance. Example, his eyes sparkled with mischief. Explanation, Rufus looked like he wanted to cause trouble in a fun, naughty way, like jumping in the river. Imagine mischief as a child or pet doing something cheeky but not truly bad. Similar words, naughtiness, bad but playful behavior. Max's naughtiness made Maggie laugh. Trouble, problems caused by actions. Rufus brought trouble to the pack. Cheekiness, bold and playful. His cheekiness showed when he barked at Max. Squelching, meaning making a soft, wet sound like walking in mud or water. Example, Maggie waded into the shallow water, her boots squelching. Explanation, Maggie's wet boots made a sucking, squishy noise as she walked in the river. Squelching is the sound of wet shoes or mud. Try saying it out loud. Squelching. Similar words. Splashing. Water hitting something. Rufus was splashing in the river. Sloshing, liquid moving noisily, water sloshed in her boots. Squelchy, describing the sound or feel. The mud was squelchy under her feet. Story written by Grok 3 AI. Image created by Flux Schnell, Black Forest Labs AI. To read all the stories in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you.